sure what I'm actually calling this dish right now, but we're going to go with gammon and potato bake, something like that. Basically, we are slow cooking gammon. I love my gammon like this. We're going to do it so it shreds apart. So don't be alarmed by the amount of time that I'm cooking this for. It'll still be lovely and moist and juicy, but it will shred apart. And it is absolutely beautiful. And I cannot stop picking at it as well when I cook something like this. So it's pretty dangerous. But then we're going to create a beautiful leek creamy sauce. We're going to get some peas in there, some parsley in there, and also a little bit of mustard. Don't worry, it won't be overpowering if mustard isn't a flavour that you really enjoy. It'll just be like a little hum in the background of the sauce, and it'll be beautiful. Also going to make mashed potato to go on top. Now this is my version of a Sunday roast. So some people would have gammon as their Sunday roast. So I'm kind of trying to kind of do this series with a few different meat ideas. And this just layers up so that it all cooks in one pot. So it's nice and easy. So whilst the meat is slow cooking, you can get on with your Sunday, whether that's reading your paper with a cup of tea, or whether it's going out, walking the dog, or whatever you do on a Sunday. You've got kind of 5 hours-ish to go off and do whatever you need to do. Then when you come back, you're literally shredding your gammon and getting on with the rest of the dish. And I promise you, it is nice and easy and creates a really fabulous Sunday lunch or dinner. So I really hope you like this. I hope you're enjoying this series so far. Don't forget to hit the like button for me and also subscribe to my channel as well. And before we get going with this recipe, just to mention that if you do want a printable recipe, those are available over on my website. So I've got a subscription. I think we're up to about 380-ish recipes over there. So there's loads of choice for your Ninja Foodi. And obviously once you've got that subscription for the year, you can make as many of those as you want to. Plus weekly, I'm adding new recipes, so there's always something that you're going to want to cook. And then also over on my website, so www.susannahskitchen.uk, you can grab one of my cookbooks. And just to let you know that the Christmas Ninja Foodi cookbook has just been restocked, so go and grab a copy of that. There is limited stock, and obviously we're only going to be selling that up until Christmas. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you give this recipe a try. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and let's go and start cooking. Okay, so my slow cooker has just finished. Now this is a 750 gram smoked gammon joint, and that has been cooking on high for 5.5 hours. And before you come for me and say that's way too long, you don't need to cook it that long, I've done it that long because I actually want to shred the meat. So I don't want it to be meat that I'm slicing for sandwiches. I want to be able to pull it apart and shred it. So that is what we're trying to achieve. It looks just right, actually. Let's see if we can grab this out. Oops. Probably should have got something different to get it. Never mind. It's coming out. Let's have a close look at this. Now you want to save that stock. Don't pour that down the sink. Keep that. Now we're going to be adding lots of flavour to this dish. So I literally just cooked this in stock. I didn't feel any need to add anything more to this. Let's have a little look. Oh yes, perfect. We have achieved some gammon that is falling apart because I want nice big chunky pieces of, oh yes, juicy gammon that is going to just shred up. If you get any little fatty bits that you don't want, put that to one side. It looks absolutely gorgeous. This is going to make a brilliant meal. And of course, you can use a part of this for this recipe, and you can always save some of it for salads, wraps, sandwiches, whatever you want to do. But if you want to use the whole lot, then go ahead. This looks amazing. I'm going to have a little taste. I mean, it's rude not to, isn't it? You cook something like this and you've been smelling it for hours on end. The cat is actually at my feet right now. She is very excited by the smell of this. Oh my goodness. And the nice thing about cooking it like this is if your gammon was ever so slightly fatty, then it really just almost dissolves. I mean, I've got a few little bits there that are slightly fatty, but more or less that any fat that was in there has just literally melted away. Looks so yummy. So now that my gammon is all shredded up, look at that. Oh my goodness, I cannot stop eating it. I need to stop. I really need to stop because I won't want any dinner at this rate. So I've got my potatoes in here. Let's get the Ninja onto sear and saute. And I'm just boiled a kettle. It just means the process just happens a bit quicker. The Ninja takes quite a while to heat up that amount of water when you're just on sear and saute. So I always boil a kettle, get those potatoes in there. That's 1 kilogram, roughly 1 kilogram of potatoes. Then I have peeled and chopped those. And we're just going to sear and saute them until they are beautifully tender. Now, the quicker way of doing this is actually to pressure cook them. So it's really up to you. I'm going to give you both the options because I know some people don't like using pressure cook that much. So here's your options. You sear and saute them like this, and you've got your boiling water in there, so away you go. If you want to pressure cook them, then you can close the lid, slide over to pressure cook, make sure that your pressure valve is sealed, which is this. So you want to make sure that is sealed if you're going to pressure cook. And then I would suggest that you pressure cook those. It depends on the size of your potatoes. Probably 8 minutes is going to be absolutely fine under pressure on high, and they'll be beautifully tender. So it's really up to you what you do, but both work perfectly. I think today I've shown you the sear and saute. I probably would like to speed this recipe along a little bit for me, so I'm going to pressure cook these now. So let me show you that. I think that is the beauty of the Ninja Foodi, is quite often there is more than one option for how you can cook something. Right, so I had it on sear and saute, so I've got to press stop. So we've pressed stop now. Right, so we're over to pressure cook. High, I need a quick release. 8 minutes normally does the job. 10 minutes if your potatoes or if you cut them a bit larger, for example. But yeah, let's go. Let's get those pressure cooked. My valve above is on seal, so we're all good. And then we can move on to our sauce, can't we? Potatoes are nice and soft, so I've removed those and then I've just mashed those. Obviously, you can add whatever you want to your potatoes. I've just added a little tiny bit of butter and just some seasoning. And to be honest, they mash so easily. Unless you want to add obviously some cream to enrich them or a little bit of milk, then you can do, or any extra flavourings. Also, I do quite like it when you pressure cook your potatoes, you can put some whole garlic cloves in there, and then you can mash your potato with that if you want like a little garlicky hum to it. Right, we are now on to our sauce. I'm melting my butter, so 25 grams of butter. And then into that butter, we are going to now add our leeks. So this is 2 leeks, trimmed and chopped up into rounds, and now we just need to soften those down in that butter. Really fancy this dinner tonight. I'm looking forward to this. Nice glass of white wine is going to go down an absolute treat with this. Okay, so I'm on the highest sear and saute, level 5 for now, just to get some heat in that pot. Probably will then turn it down slightly. So I've lowered this sear and saute down again, level 3 now. As you can see, these are really softening down nicely at this stage. I like to start adding some seasoning in now that they've softened down. So black pepper, I like a fair amount of black pepper in this type of dish. And then some salt. Now I'm going to put in some garlic granules. About half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. Doesn't need to be a great deal of garlic granules. If you prefer to use garlic puree, like a lazy garlic, or again, if you prefer to use a fresh clove of garlic, then just crush that in. That's just going to add a nice bit of flavour. So when your leeks are really nice and soft, just like this, takes about 10 minutes, I would say. Then we can add in our flour. And if you need to, you can use a gluten-free flour. You just want to use plain flour. And I want a couple of tablespoons. There you go. And now just stir that flour through those leeks and cook that out for a minute or two. Now this is going to work as our thickener, and that's going to create our sauce for us. So good mix through. I'm still on that lower sear and saute level 3. Okay, that's looking good. And that's when we start to then add our stock in. So this is the stock from earlier that we used to cook our ham. So begin to stir that through. Now you just need to give it a little bit of time. Obviously to start with, it feels like it's all very separate and nothing's really coming together. But as you stir this and as the heat starts to work, you will find it will start to thicken up and it will create our sauce. I'm just going to scrape down my spatula because it had loads stuck to it and just mix that through. You can swap to a whisk actually if you prefer at this stage. I've also got some cream, which is going to really enrich our sauce, and we've got some whole grain mustard as well. So you can turn up the sear and saute if you want to. It's just going to make this process a little bit quicker. I've got a tiny bit of that stock left I measured out. So we will see how much we actually need. So by using that stock, obviously we're not wasting anything. We're not having to make up some extra stock. And it also has so much flavour after that gammon being cooked in there. Okay, so that is heating through and that's starting to blip away a little bit. And you can see that that is getting nice and thick. I'm going to add in my cream. So at the moment I'm just doing this by eye. And I will give you the quantities in a moment when I'm sure that he's absolutely right. I don't want to give you quantities before I've tested it out and made sure that it is working just right and how I want it. Obviously, the longer you sear and saute this, the thicker it will get. I think these are quite good, these quantities actually. So that's 300 millilitres of the stock. That's worked really well. And it was 100 of my single cream. I've actually used Alpro cream because I don't really like to have loads of dairy in my diet just because it doesn't really suit me that well. So that just shows you, you can use alternatives in this as well. I'll just show you that quickly in case you're cooking for anybody or you have to be dairy free. So Alpro single soya, but it's going to work the same if you use some single cream as well. Now I'm going to turn off the sear and saute. I don't want it to thicken too quickly. There's lots of heat left in there. And I'm going to go in with my tablespoon of mustard. I like whole grain mustard. I like to see those little flecks in it. I think it's lovely. If you wanted to make this even more mustardy, of course you could put mustard through your mash. I think it's going to be overkill, but that's up to you. If you really love mustard, then you could do that. But yeah, look at that. That's going to be coating our gammon, and then the mashed potato goes on top. It's looking pretty special. I'm going to give it a little taste to make sure I've got my seasonings right. So I suggest you always do the same. What else have we got to go in here? We have got peas. So let's add in the peas. Frozen peas out of the freezer, 150 grams. And that's a nice quantity. So we've got leeks and we've got peas as our veg in this dish. Look at that, gorgeous, really, really nice. And then optional, but I'm adding in fresh parsley into my sauce as well. And again, just gonna stir that through. Looks really vibrant, doesn't it? Looks perfect. So let's add in the gammon. Or of course you could put the sauce straight on top of the gammon in your pot. Just want to kind of give that a mix through. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to transfer that into my Ninja pot. That tastes absolutely fabulous. Those peas aren't going to be fully defrosted at this stage, but of course we're going to bake this further, so it's absolutely fine. Right, so let's do that. Let's push the Ninja back. Get my Ninja tin from the trusty bakeware set. I mean, it's so good. If you haven't got it, you definitely need it. I'm going to lift this out. The bakeware set is on my accessories page on my website. So if you do want that, I do think it is the best investment. Recently, actually, I think it was just yesterday on Amazon, they had 12% off, which did make it that little bit cheaper. But even when it's full price, I still highly recommend it because, you know, price per use. That's how I try and think about it. I use mine all the time and I use all 3 components as well. I think this I use the most, but I definitely use the others as well. Okay, so here we go. Look at that. I am so pleased with this. And I actually feel like this has been really enjoyable and it hasn't felt like any effort to make this dish, really. I think it's because the meat is slow cooked and there's not a lot of kind of other cooking to do really with this other than kind of making the sauce. Potatoes are nice and easy. I know there's quite a few steps with it, but again, it's just easy and it's great. Yum. It tastes so nice. So now to add our mashed potato on top, and I tend to just spoon it on like this because that way we don't kind of mess up the bottom section and combine it all. We do keep our mashed potato on the top. There you go. This amount of potato looks about right, to be honest. So this was 1 kilogram of potatoes, and I have actually kept a little tiny bit of the mash back for my son, only because he doesn't eat gammon, so he won't be having this tonight, so I'll do him some mash with something else. Ordinarily, you will get a tiny bit more mash than what I've got that you're seeing here. And then what I do is just spread it out. And of course, there is nothing stopping you from making more mashed potato. If you like a really thick layer of mash on top of something like this, then there's absolutely no reason why you can do 1.5 kilograms of potatoes. There's room in the pot. So again, yeah, if you want to do that, go ahead. But 1 kilogram, as you can see, does cover it nicely. We've got a really good smooth mashed potato. That is definitely the benefit of pressure cooking your potatoes. They go so soft, they are mashed down so well. Then for me, I've got to finish it off with some cheese on top. Gorgeous. There's no real quantity here. I'm just grabbing handfuls and adding them. You add as much as you like. It's optional. You can leave it. You don't have to have the cheese on the top. It does make a really nice bubbly cheesy topping. There's some cheesy mashed potato on there, and that goes really well with the gammon, the cream, the mustard. I can't wait. I'm really excited for this. So all that's left to do is get this on the Ninja rack in the pot, and we're going to bake it until it is golden and it is bubbling. Everything in there is cooked. So you're not really kind of trying to cook it unless you let this go completely cold, then it's going to take you longer to bake it. If you're kind of making it and then baking it, 15 minutes probably is going to do the job because everything is already hot in there. If you want to leave it to cool slightly and bake it longer, maybe just lower that bake temperature, and you may want to cover it with kitchen foil as well partway through, just so the top doesn't colour too much and whilst you're trying to reheat the whole thing. Okay, time is up. We've got a really nice golden crust on that. I'm going to serve it up. And here she is in all her beauty. Look at that filling inside. I love that crispy, cheesy topping as well. It's so good. I'm calling it a bake, a pie, whatever you want to, but that is absolutely loaded in there. And we've got that gorgeous cheesy mashed potato. on the top.
Don't forget to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this recipe, and definitely let me know if you give it a try.